long time no chat. I've been slacking on my YouTube, but let's not talk about it. That's a thing of the past, okay? I wanted to talk about how I go about creating really colorful eyeshadow looks, and I'll put some examples on the screen. But I feel like, have you ever just like looked at an eyeshadow look and you just see this like perfect blend and color and you're just like, how did they do that? We're going to demystify that process today, and I'm going to show you how I go about doing that with a bunch of different eye looks that I've done, and I will break some of them down towards the end, but I'm going to do something really fun and a little bit unexpected. So let's see if I can actually get this to look good today, and if not, well, we'll talk about how I flopped and how we can do better next time, because I'm not redoing the eye look if it doesn't turn out good, okay? My eyes can't handle it, and neither can like my base makeup, but let's see how this goes. So the very first step is obviously going to be pick your colors, but not just your colors. You want to pick the correct tones that you're using, and obviously you can mix tones however you want, but it is generally harder to blend from cool to warm. If you don't go about it the right way, it can get very muddy. So if you're a beginner, I would recommend picking warm tones with warm tones and cool tones with cool tones. And when you feel more comfortable, you can definitely mix it up. And I'm not saying colors, I'm saying tones. And I have a bunch of different palettes. For example, like in the Blend Bunny palette, you can see that this row of coral red colors, they're very warm tone, okay? And in blends, for example, this pink right here is actually pretty cool toned in my opinion. For example, Surge in here, this is still a little bit warm toned, but not nearly as warm in my opinion. And again, this green tone in Surge and the blue row is also very cool toned in my opinion. We're going to compare it to Primal, which has very warm blues. Well, this is a blurple, but blues and greens. So you don't really want to go about mixing those two together. So the color scheme that I decided on, I think I'm going to do yellow, blue, and purple. And the yellow to blue is going to be a little bit of a jump because it's like you didn't mention green, which there will be a little bit of green. And you can use any palette. Unfortunately, Primal from Blend Bunny is discontinued, but it does have the tones that I want to use in it. And the good thing is the yellow that I'm going to use is pretty like widely available in a bunch of other eyeshadow palettes, so you don't have to have this exact palette to do this look. But the first thing I'm going to do is kind of take a bit of a flat shader brush, and I'm going to put the yellow in my inner corner, and then I'm going to use a slightly lighter yellow to build it up, but also blend it out a little bit into the skin. Yellow does not show up that great on my skin tone, which is interesting because I am a neutral skin tone, but I guess there's a little bit of yellow in there somewhere. But I kind of want this yellow to be a little bit lighter. And you also want to think about the sort of ratio to color, because that's also going to affect the blend. So it's like, do you want to have like a lot of yellow overtake this look and then have the blue and the purple be kind of supporting characters, or do you want them all to be even? So right now this does look pretty even in terms of like the ratio, if that makes sense. So this is like a third of my eye, and then the blue's gonna go here, and then the purple's gonna come on the outside. So I think that's a pretty even amount of space, but you know, you can kind of workshop it to however you want to ratio the color placement. And I'm gonna work one eye at a time. I usually try to do them both at the same time, but just for tutorial sake, I am just gonna work on one eye first. And you don't necessarily need a green in order to blend yellow to blue, but it does help, and having a bit of knowledge of the color wheel is also gonna help a lot, just so that you're able to blend colors together without it looking too muddy, because it's pretty hard to jump from color to color, especially when they're opposites. But because yellow and blue combined make green, you're gonna wanna use a little bit of green just to meld the blend together so it looks a little bit more seamless. You don't have to use green, and I would go about it differently if you didn't have a green eyeshadow. I find that kind of tapping instead of like swiping or blending when you don't have a sort of in-between color helps a lot, but you still do have to be careful because it's very easy to go overboard, but it can be done. It's not impossible. It can be done. So I'm taking a little bit more yellow and going further. And the blue that I'm going to use is going to be from the Blends palette, just because it's more of a true blue compared to the one in Primal, which has, like I said, a sort of blurble undertone. And I'm deciding which green I want to use because it is, like I said, a true blue. I think I'm going to use the green in Primal. It is very warm, but I do like how it looks. You don't have to switch brushes, but I am, because like I said, I am doing one eye at a time. And I think I'm gonna go in, just because I need a little bit of green, I am gonna go in with again, a sort of flat shader brush and just apply a little bit. Don't have to go too ham with the green. Like I said, it's just bridging the gap between the yellow and the blue. And I really like to take my time building up color. Instead of, I know like another popular method is to put the color on a lot and then blend that out, but I struggle with that, so I don't recommend doing it like that. But if that's how you do apply your eyeshadow, you are more than welcome to do it like that. I think I'm going to take this fluffy shader brush from Clinoa. Blue is also another color that kind of has a hard time showing up on my skin tone. So I am going to use a lighter, more pastel blue to apply. Ooh, that looks really dark. I'm also wearing eyeshadow primer and I did set it this time. Sometimes I don't set it and other times I do. I might end up going with a neon pigment just on the edges later on. We'll see how it turns out once I add the purple in. But as you can see, because we added that green, I feel like it's blending. Well, it's honestly looking a little muddy, so I might take a little bit of the green from Blends and add it in here. Ooh! But you do see just instantly how using the sort of correct tone of color really can change a look. So even I don't know what the hell I'm talking about sometimes. So we're just slowly building up that pigment. It does look pretty good so far. And I haven't thought too much about what kind of shape I'm doing, but honestly I'm probably gonna go pretty damn big. And for the edge of the eye look, I usually go in with a fluffy brush, but I'm just trying to decide which brush I'm gonna use. I think I'm gonna use a sort of really big one. I forgot which purple I said it. Oh yeah, I was gonna use the purple in Primal, just because it's very warm, but I don't know if it's gonna look what I want. But you know what, like I said, if I flop on this, we can talk about it. And I'm gonna put it down here. My little light died, but we're back on. And we're just gonna go and kind of blend these two together. And I'm also gonna like kind of wing it out. You can use a lighter color to do this as well. And this area of my eye can be a little problematic. So I'll just add a little bit more. And see what I was talking about earlier with the tones not being right. So I think I'm gonna go into Blends. There's a lot of flip-flopping between palettes. And I think I'm gonna take a little bit of Signs. Let's see if that helps. Yeah, that helps a little bit to blend. Even though it's purple, it's a very warm purple. But she needed some help getting blended. And we're going to make this area darker later, so if you're all like, oh man, it looks really muddy and patchy, hopefully when I add darker colors it'll save that aspect of it. But like I said, we're just building up the color right now. And if we're losing that blue a little bit too, we can always go back and add more blue. Just making sure that it's looking how I want it to. Okay, and most people would probably recommend switching to a smaller brush And I think I'm actually gonna take that advice, even though I don't necessarily want to personally dirty another brush. Sometimes it must be done. This is just a smaller blending brush. It's also very fluffy. And I'm going in with the darker purple. Kind of stamping that a little bit. So we are losing a little bit of the vibrancy, but like I said, we can always just add more of it. I think I am going to add black as well. I think as I look at this from further away, I do want the shape to be emphasized a little bit more. And like I said, we're going in with a really light hand. Like I said, my base has already been finished, and sometimes cleaning up fallout ends up becoming a bigger mess. Nice. And you know what, just to kind of marry the dark tones together, I'm probably going to go in and add some darker like blues and maybe a bit of a darker green, we'll see. And then I take a little bit on the really fluffy brush, a little bit of a dark eyeshadow, just to, again, blend it out, because this is great for doing small, sort of precise and concise blending areas, but if you just take a little bit of a darker color on a fluffy brush, you can also get an even blend. Okay, cool. And then I am going to go into a navy matte and just do the edges. Ooh, it might be darker than the purple. So again, paying attention to tone is going to also be really important. And actually bringing some of that navy down here. So we might not need black, but I might still add it anyway, just for more depth. Then and then we'll do the lower lash line, and honestly I keep my lower lash line looking the same every single time, and if you don't like formulaic, well, this is not the channel for you. And I started off with the dark navy color, just since so far it's been the darkest color that we've used. I'm going to bring it about halfway, and you can choose to bring it in however close or far away that you want to. You know what? I have to be really careful with this part because I try not to put too much shadow to overwhelm the under eye area, but I do get carried away, so we're gonna be really careful. I'm gonna kind of pat and keep the color really concentrated. And I use again, another flat shader, but it's a very specific shape. I feel like people refer to this as a dome shape. And this is from Klenoa. I don't know if they still make this though, because last time they've put this on clearance so many times, so it seems like it's something that they're trying to get rid of. But I really like it for doing eyeshadow under my lower lash line. Again, just and I'm going to add blue, no worries. Sometimes I also like just use the back of my hand as a palette to kind of get extra shadow off. I know some people use towels and have designated products for it, but I just use my hand. Ooh, see, I don't know if that blue tonally is great, because it really mixes into the purple, so it turns into this like cool tone purple, which is exactly what I wanted. So I'm either gonna rub all of it off and see if I can apply some blue, or if it's just a lost cause. Yeah, it might be a lost cause. It's looking very purple. It's okay. What I might have to do is do a light blue here. And I should probably switch brushes, but I'm not. And then we'll go in with a little bit of a darker blue. So the ratio doesn't quite match up 100%, so learn from my mistakes. Do as I say, not as I do, right? And I am gonna add a little bit of green. And again, going back. So I think next time maybe I would probably do yellow and start with green, just so like I said the ratios could match a little bit better, because normally when I would do an eye look like this I would want more yellow. That's okay. And I didn't even think about what kind of shimmer shadow that I want to use. Let's try and fix my mistake. I'm debating if I want to add a little bit of darker green because it's so dark on my lower lash line, so fingers crossed this goes well for me. And I said I didn't want that much green to overtake this look, but look at it, y'all, it is overtaking the look. And we're gonna go back in with some blue just to really, maybe we'll use teal. Yeah, I think we're gonna use teal to make it look blue, but wow, this turned out not at all how I was expecting it to. I'm gonna take a little bit of white just to blend out the edges and some of the pastel colors, like I said, to blend out the edges some more. Ooh. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then I'll do something about the purple because it looks a little lacking, sweaty. Darker purple. Wait, okay, this is looking pretty good. So I think what I'm gonna do is I am going to catch my other eye up to speed and then we'll decide on a shimmer together. So I've still not decided on a shimmer, but this eye is all cut up to speed. There are so many directions that we can go with this eye look. And now I wanna fix this. But I want, again, this is just me kind of talking about my thought process and how I bring colors together. And so one of the ways we can do that is with a shimmer. And this is all personal preference and it really depends. But generally, if I'm doing an eye look that has a lot of eyeshadow colors happening on it, you know what? I need to fix this blend a little bit. Hold on. When I'm doing a lot of eyeshadow colors like this, I generally like to just use one shimmer, especially multi-chrome, and one that's on the sheer side just so that it can kind of incorporate into all the colors. And there's a lot of different ways that we can go about it. So one of the ways is being a multi-chrome that incorporates a lot of the different colors. So like, oh, this multi-chrome has a lot of yellow in it, or it has a lot of greens in it. Or I like to do the opposite, and it's like, let's do something contrasting. Like, there's zero orange, pink, and red in this eye look, so it's like, do you want to pick a multi-chrome that focuses on having warm tones in it? And generally, I find iridescence or sheer multi-chromes look the best on this kind of look. But again, it's all totally personal preference. It's like, do I want to maximize this look? Do I kind of want to harmonize this look? So just kind of picking two different directions. And it might be fun if I do one shimmer on one side and another shimmer that encapsulates each idea. So if you have any sort of glitter glue like Fire Renee's Pixie Epoxy, that would be great. I do have NYX's glitter glue, but I don't know if it does that much for me. So on this eye, I'm going to apply Dive Room Cosmetics All Hallows Eve from their Frandoween collection, which was kindly gifted to me by the brand, and it is so beautiful. It has a lot of green And it does have a pink base, but honestly the pink base doesn't really show up on me. So I'm just gonna go in with my finger, apply it on the lid, and you know what, I'm actually getting the pink base coming through. And again, multi-chromes or just shimmers, sometimes it can be really flaky, so just like the eyeshadow, I don't mind slowly building up and blending it around so we just get that beautiful glittery goodness. And I call it glittery, but it's not really glitter. But get that shimmery goodness all over the lid. And you know what, I think next time I would maybe blend this area a little bit more just so it doesn't seem so stark. But oh my goodness, that's freaking beautiful, is it not? I feel like I always lean on Radar from Shine by SD Cosmetics, but it is a sort of iridescent with a orange glow. And I'm going to apply that in a similar manner all over the lid. It's very, very beautiful. And I'm just gonna add a little bit more. And these are both sheerer eyeshadows, so I think they look very beautiful in this kind of look. And I will say All Hallows Eve is very sparkly, and Radar is sparkly as well, but just much less so. But the orangey pigment really comes through. And then I am going to add some eyeshadow on the lower lash line area. And I'm sure some people spray their brushes to get the most pigment, but I don't do that. And if that makes me Boo Boo the Fool, well, I'm Boo Boo the Fool. And then I like to use a brush just to build up the inner corner as well, and then I'll put a little bit on my brow bone. Not necessary, but I like to do it. And then, sorry, I'm not switching brushes. Put a little bit on my brow bone. And just to beef up that inner corner. Ooh, pretty. That is basically, well, I don't want to be done because I want to put some lipstick on, damn. That is my thought process in how I go about creating a colorful eyeshadow look. I did go pretty neutral on the lipstick slash lip gloss. It's just the Huda Beauty Faux Filler, Huda Beauty Faux Filler Lip Gloss in the shade Bombshell. It's a very powerful lip gloss, so I tried to apply it as lightly as possible, and it is very, you know, it's not sticky, it feels very wet. But anyway, I didn't want to, Herbert! I didn't want to go super crazy with the lip, but yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below, and I would be happy to try and help you workshop or figure out different eyeshadows or color combinations that could be really fun. And I do have a video in the works talking about a bunch of different eyeshadow formulas and what I think would work best for your preference and skill level. So stay tuned because I'm still writing out the script on that. And yes, I need a script because I don't know how people freehand, like just talk and talk without sounding like a moron, because I know nothing about that. But thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.